Thank you everyone for being here, and special thank you for John Deere and Wells Fargo for doing this great presentation on data analytics. And I continue to let people in. So I will do a very brief speaker introduction, tell you about upcoming Latinx Factor events happening in July. Then it's not going to be a formal presentation. It's going to be very informal. And this is meant for you to have the most interaction with these outstanding presenters, Israel Curiel and Alex Fernandez. So don't be shy, ask your questions, as this is meant to be a very engaging event. And then, of course, I will share the QR code and the link for you to tell us how we did, and I can share that feedback with John Deere and Wells Fargo. So my name is Ana Rodriguez. I am currently responsible for event content via the Research and Impact Office. Hold on, let me admit more people. I have a doctorate degree from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst in organizational development and training, and I've been working at SHIP for 5 years. I was gifted a lifetime membership last year, and I am passionate about cooking. So first and foremost, Alejandro Fernandez, one of our great speakers, is the manager of operations for the John Deere Dubuque factory within Construction and Forestry Division at John Deere. He holds an MBA and a Master in Science in Manufacturing Operations from Monterrey Tech, as well as a Global Leadership Certification from the Tuck Business School at Dartmouth. With a career spanning over 2 decades at John Deere, Alex has held various managerial and directorial positions, including Manager at Dubuque Works Operations, Director of NAPDC Parts Operations, and Global Director of Manufacturing Systems and Technology. He is actively involved in executive sponsorship and board memberships within organizations such as SHIP, Wim Dubuque, NICC Foundation, Crowd Valley Golf Club, and the Dubuque Chamber of Commerce. I hope you help me welcome Alejandro Fernandez. We have also from Wells Fargo, John Deere, Israel Curiel. As a leader in data analytics and designing advanced analytics system, he has delivered solutions to executive leadership across multiple banks in the Charlotte area. With over 30 years of experience in areas like credit card, marketing, segment analytics, corporate credit risk, and data governance, he has built a reputation as a visionary solution provider. He is a ferocious learner who is always looking for new challenges. He is often asked to take ambiguous requirements and provide a vision for analytic solutions, along with the communication to effect broad-scale change. I hope you also help me welcome Israel Curiel. So upcoming SHIP events, we have 2 exciting webinars coming in July. One will be in the power of mentorship, and the other one biotechnology and bioinformatics. Please do know that maybe these might change, but make sure that you always are on the lookout for the email from SHIP in late June. Now, without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen, and I will now leave you with Israel Curiel and Alex Fernandez. Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit more about John Deere? What is it that you do, and data analytics? Thank you.
Yeah. So, first of all, I really appreciate the invitation, the opportunity to talk a little bit more about John Deere, our operations, and my personal journey with data analytics. Currently, I have the privilege of leading the Dubuque factory. In the Dubuque factory, we have around 1,500 people. We build crawlers, we build backhoes, we build skid steers, we build cabs for the CNF division. My role, amongst other things, is to keep the factory running, making sure that our employees come to work every day, and we safely build the machines with high quality that our customers require. So that's kind of in a nutshell my role. I've been working with John Deere for, it says over 2 decades, but it's almost 3 decades. I think this was my 29th anniversary. So yeah, that's probably before a lot of the people on the phone was born. So that it is what it is. I would say I'm not an analytics person, so Israel is going to be your expert based on what I saw. With that said, I'm kind of an Excel nerd. I've been since the early beginnings of, like I said before, everybody was born. We used to have a tool called Lotus 123, and that was before Excel. And then so I started with that tool. I did a little bit of Access, and then very early on my career, I kind of grasped an interest in Excel. And one of my best decisions in my career was to learn how to do pivot tables, which again is just ways to organize data in Excel for those of you that are not familiar with that. This was before Power BI. This was before Python, R, and so on and so forth. This was when we will get sets of data that we'll have to download on a USB unit and download them to Excel and try to make some sense out of data that we had. So, like I said, my journey was just learning Excel, learning how to do pivot tables. And since early in my career, and even now, I think one of the biggest, most important parts of my job is to make decisions on a daily basis with the data that I have available. Decisions like how many machines are we gonna produce next year? How at what level should we staff our lines? Um, where should we double down from a customer perspective on quality? Where should we allocate resources? And on a daily basis, I fundamentally sit down. I do have people that know Power BI. I have not learned Power BI, even though it's on my bucket list to learn Power BI. But I've had people on Power BI. I personally work with the experts on Power BI and have created some compelling daily visualizations that help me make the decisions that I need to run the business. I will give you just a quick example of that as we enter our war room or our production meeting room. We have 6 screens now, actually, yeah, 8 screens that show 8 different visualizations on the information that I need to know the current state of my business, but also how are we performing. So it starts with safety, with how many OSHA recordables did we have yesterday, how many did we have year to date. So they're very descriptive analytics. From a quality perspective, how many defects are we getting from our customers? What are our trends for the future? From a delivery perspective, how well are we tracking to our production plans? Why aren't we hitting our production plans? And what are our chances of hitting our production plans? Going in the back, what's our real-time state of our production? Are we hitting our numbers hour by hour? How are we performing on 5S? How are we performing on CI? And that's just examples of what I do every day from an analytics perspective. I never stop learning analytics. I actually rely a lot on analytics also for the role that I play in some of the boards that I participate. And like I said, just learning how to take raw pieces of data and turning that into insights is one of my passions in my life. So that's just briefly a little bit about me and my journey in analytics.
Israel, tell us about you.
Okay. So again, my name is Israel Curiel. So my analytics journey, it really started in college. My degree was international business. It's marketing. And the way that my career started is I was working for a company called First Union, and I hate to admit the year, but it was 1993. I had to take one class on something called DB2, database on the mainframe, to get my business degree. And after one semester of that class, I had no idea what a database was. And I was at work. I was just doing like data entry work at First Union. And the manager says, well, the mainframe people just quoted us $1 million to create this database. And I said, boss, why don't we create a database ourselves? And he said, great idea. You're going to build it. That's honestly how my career started in data analytics. So I was just a kid. I was still in college, and he sent me to a week of training for a product called Access 1.0, not Microsoft. Access was an independent company that was acquired by Microsoft product when it was 1.0. So that's how I started in data analytics. This manager sent me to 1 week of training, and in 1 week of training, I learned what a table was. I learned what an SQL was. Back in those days, I even created something called forms for data entry. So I'll be eternally thankful to this manager who really kind of kicked off my career. So my career has really spanned just 3 companies. The first company is called First Union. It's a predecessor of Wells Fargo. I worked for First Union for a decade. And after First Union, I then went to Bank of America. I spent another decade at Bank of America. So here in Charlotte, the banks are right across the street. Everyone goes back and forth between the 2 banks. So I was at Bank of America for a decade, and now I've been in my current role at Wells Fargo for 11 years. So yes, I'm now at about 31 years in the world of data analytics. It has been a huge learning path. Now in my current role, what I do is in data analytics, I'm going to kind of describe what I think is data analytics. Data analytics is taking raw information, raw data, and converting that information into intelligence, actionable intelligence, things that will give me the appropriate next steps of what I want to do in my line of business. In the data that I work with, I'm typically dealing with credit loan, mortgage loan, business loans, anything around the businesses that Wells Fargo does with customers, whether it's consumer or commercial. And needless to say, it is a vast number of customers. Some of the data that I deal with are usually in the millions of records, but some of the data I've been working with lately have been in the billions of records. Over the course of the last, let's say 7 to 8 years, I've had to learn a lot of new products. The bulk of my career I spent using a product called SAS, or Statistical Analysis System, to do data manipulation, and something called ETL, or Extract, Transform, and Load. When you're working in data analytics, the hardest part is getting the data, manipulating, cleaning it, getting it ready so that you can perform your own analysis. So the product that I was using, and it was kind of standard in the banking world, was SAS for 27 years. And about 7 years ago, I had a need to learn a product called Python. So for 7 years, I have been using and learning Python. And I can tell you that after 7 years, I'm still barely learning. I still barely know it. But I primarily use Python for all my analytics work now. It's a robust programming language that can be used for data analytics. I actually volunteered to teach high school students how to program robotics using Python as well. So it's a very flexible language that you can do a ton of different things with. Data visualization is something that's been a very big part of the whole career. Back in, we'll say pre-2010, everything was tables and very simple charts in the older days. Since 2010, I would say there's been a huge migration to the visualization of data. The visualization, and I'm talking very simple charts, line charts, bar charts, pie charts, not so much. That's for very limited groupings of data. But the primary product, let's say around 2010, that was the most used, at least in the banking world, was a product called Tableau. Tableau came about because it was very easy to use, very intuitive, and make very beautiful displays with that. So Tableau is a product I've been using for about 14 years now, 13 years. And over the last, let's say 2 years, the bank has made the decision that we're going to focus on primarily Microsoft products. Obviously, there's cost savings when we use all of the Microsoft Office. So we've primarily been focused in using Microsoft products like Power BI, Power Query, and the Azure platform. So the work that I do is kind of broad and varied. Whether I'm pulling data from databases, we're now starting to do a little bit of work with text-based data and something called natural language processing. So we're trying to extract knowledge from data, from text-based data, not databases. It's totally unstructured database or totally unstructured data. So some of the examples are sentiment analysis. Wells Fargo receives like 30 million phone calls a day, or I can't remember if it's a day or a week. It's a lot. And there's no way that anyone's going to listen to a huge sample to understand what's going on in the customer's world. What we've done now is we're moving towards using natural language processing. As these phone calls come in, they're in real time, they're transcribed to text. And we have jobs that will process that text, do the natural language processing, and then doing sentiment analysis. So the text will tell us how the customers are feeling, whether this was a good call, was it a complaint, and so on and so forth. We can identify issues that might be happening. Well, for instance, Quicken was down. It's a tool that interfaces with Wells Fargo, so customers can download their transaction. Using natural language processing, in real time transcribing the phone calls to text, Wells Fargo was really quick to identify, hey, there's a problem with a third-party vendor. They got in touch with Intuit as the owner of that product, and they were able to fix the whatever issue was occurring. So the world of data analytics is very broad. We work with data in raw tables. We work in text-based data. We're now working with images. I don't personally do any image analysis or video analysis, but the world of data analytics is changing practically on a daily basis. Yeah, my career has been long and very varied across that career.
Hello, Israel. There's a question from Isaac Sanchez. What do you find the most difficult about coding using Python?
Is that in the chat?
Yes, it is.
Well, let me pull up it. What do you find the most difficult? Oh, about using Python. Well, it was through my whole career, I've done a lot of programming, so I'm not necessarily sure that it was difficult. I was doing web development back in the 90s. What's the hardest part of? One of the big things was in Python, it was the data or the coding is structured with tabs. I'm accustomed to using semicolons and parentheses for delimiting like functions. So it looked different than other languages, but I've grown to love Python above all the other programming languages because it's terse, meaning you can accomplish things in far fewer statements and functions. So it's very easy, and people talk about writing things in a Pythonic way, and it just simply means that you're writing code that is easily picked up by anyone. It's usually very English readable. I also use a product called Jupyter Notebooks. And in Jupyter Notebooks is a tool for programming in Python, but a notebook allows me to do the commenting. I like to do table of contents because my programs can get really long. Your table of contents has links in there. And in my world, everything is about visualization. So there's lots of charts. And in a Jupyter Notebook, I'm combining my code, my documentation, and the visuals, the charts in a single document. So it makes it very easy. Python took me a few years to learn. I think there's still a ton more to learn. But the wonderful thing about Python is you have, I don't know, tens of thousands of available modules that you can import into your environment to do things like natural language processing, sentiment analysis, video analysis, text analysis, all kinds of things. So that's a little more of the information than you were asking, but yeah, Python is a great tool for all that kind of work.
Isaac, please unmute yourself. You also wrote, that makes sense. It's a different structure system, but universal. Awesome. Any other questions? Please unmute yourself. Alvin, you have a question. Your hand is raised. Unmute yourself, Alvin. I think you're muted.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Better? Okay, thank you. I have a question for you, Israel, in regards to the natural language processing. Can the NLP be can they misclassify, say, a transcript? Say the call is coming in and then it's trying to do the text analysis, almost like a closed captioning, and then it misreads a word and then it puts it into a different category, even though the call is something else. Like, how is that handled? Is there like cleaning of that data, or is it kind of taken as is?
So let me give you real world examples. When my parents call with their heavy Mexican accent, it's not going to transcribe it right. So that's the reality. I mean, whether you're an immigrant from Mexico or you have a very strong Southern accent or a Northern New Jersey accent, it does transcribe some of those words. So there's a lot of cleaning. That's not my data analytics isn't my primary job. I've had to do it for my group primarily because we look at logs of, we write logs of processing data. We have meetings, we're processing, importing data every month, and we're literally writing logs on the things that might have broke, things that we needed to fix. And now we have this vast library of historical issues that have come up. And I had to go through that data and look for the common denominators, just look for the common words that were happening to identify where we need to focus our future efforts to make sure that we have clean data and clean processing of our data on a monthly basis.
Thank you. And a follow-up question for Alex. In regards to product design, do you take the customer reviews or say internal reviews of the products in order to make new products, or is it going into say improvements or updates for like the backhoes, the crawlers, and things like that? Like, how is that handled from your perspective in data analytics?
So I mean, I think there's a lot of elements on data and analytics that go into a product design. So I'll give you a couple of examples on things, right? So the first example that I will give you is warranty claims from the field, right? I think that's a great input that comes in. That one of the biggest challenges that we face, and it's part of data analytics, right? That includes data cleaning, right? Because I know that my number one part in warranty claim is, for example, an O-ring. However, an O-ring is not what failing, but the dealers are detecting a leak in a joint. And I think that's what makes it super difficult for us. And again, when we think about data analytics, and Israel was talking about data cleansing, right? Many times the data you're receiving, it's a symptom of something else, right? So for us, it requires to have people get in, clean the data, separate that, see if we can actually identify the joint, and many times also educating the customers or changing how data gets captured from that source. So for product design, we will use warranty data. And then when doing the product verification and validation, I'll give you another example, right? When we are testing the machines for durability, we will test the stress and the strains. It could be either physically with I don't know the term in English, but it's called galgas extensométricas. So it's something that measures the stress and strains of structures. It could be using that data from the field. It could be also using stress tests that are electronically, where you actually subject the system or a part towards the functioning of it, and then you need to analyze the data, what are the stress points, and so on and so forth. So I think those are two examples. I can talk to you about product design, product safety, and so on and so forth. But I would say the conclusion to your question is absolutely. We use a lot of the data. It gets incorporated into the product design because that's kind of the end goal, is how do you design a product that has less warranty claims, that it's safer, that has better quality for the customers. Thanks for the questions.
Thank you both for the answers. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi everyone. 1 second. I guess my quick question here is, can you guys elaborate a little bit more about ETL and I guess anything else that's related? Because currently, like, I'm actually interning as a data analyst, for a nonprofit, but for like the way they handle things is like they have like a data operations team, and so like that team is like the one that's kind of like cleaning up stuff and, I guess formatting the data for us to analyze. And so I guess, but I've seen in other like say job descriptions or job postings, whatever, that often like data analysts are expected to like know ETL and other things, and like how to clean data, etc. So I guess can you guys just share more about like that process, especially as you mentioned like how like that's one of the more difficult processes of the like role.
You want to start, Alex?
I don't know what ETL is, so I'll let you actually take that.
Extract, transform, and load, ETL, is an essential part of doing any kind of analytics work. I can tell you right now, don't wait on other people. Learn to do data ETL on your own. In my work, in the work that I do, I'm actually in the business side. Wells Fargo is split up into, you have your technology side and you have your business side. And oftentimes you have to go ask the IT people to do something for you. It's such a slow process. It's so, I mean, we're a huge organization, so there's lots of processes, lots of approvals you got to go through. Don't wait on people. Learn it yourself. Let me tell you, you need to learn SQL first, structured query language. You need to learn Python, doing additional manipulation. If you get those 2 skills under your belt, you'll never have to wait on another person. And I can tell you that in my career, it has been extremely beneficial because I'm kind of like the technology person hiding inside of the business. For example, during COVID, the federal government came to Wells Fargo and said, we need a list of your financial accommodations that you're doing for all your customers across the entire corporation. The IT group said to our senior management, we can have it done for you in about 6 months. And they're like, no, you can't tell the federal government, I'll have it for you in 6 months. That might give you 2 weeks. So I was approached. Obviously, I have the skills to do it. I go and pull the data. I looked at the data I'm pulling from different sources, whether Excel, SharePoint. Your data in the work that you do can come from anywhere. It's going to come from Excel. It's going to come from a text file. It's going to come from a database. Or someone can, God forbid, sometimes you'll get a PDF and you need to report off data found in PDF. If you're going to wait on somebody like an IT group, it's going to take you forever. Don't do that. Learn the skills yourself. Learn to manipulate your own data, to extract your own data, and you will never have to wait on anyone else. And what that gains you is you will become the go-to person. When your senior executives need something by the end of the day or by the end of the week, they're going to say, Michelle, I know you have the skills to pull the data, massage it, and give me a presentation by the end of the week. Please get this done for me. So don't be the person waiting on other people to help you. Provide your own help. Provide your own source of data.
And I think Israel, the only thing that I would add, I think that's really good advice, right? Is the more you're waiting for somebody else, the least efficient you are, right? So even in my earlier example of just knowing how to use Excel and pivot tables, then I don't have to be asking people to do things that I can probably do in 5 minutes. So I think, Israel's advice is very good. The only thing that I will encourage all of you younger generations is either learn how to do it or learn the tools that will do it for you. Like I've been, like probably everybody on this call, playing with ChatGPT, and I mean, ChatGPT can extract data from a PDF file and put it into a format that you can actually manipulate with Excel. ChatGPT can teach you how to code, and in Python can write code for you. So make sure that you're leveraging all these new AI tools that will help you be way more efficient and effective, as opposed to being the expert on every single part of the process of data analytics. Learn those tools that will enable you to not necessarily be the expert, but at the same time be able to do it.
So, Michelle, I want to share with you, what I just put in the chat is a link to a website called datacamp.com. It is a service that Wells Fargo is paying for our employees. They want to make sure that our analysts can do the work themselves and not wait on other people. Obviously, we spend a lot of time waiting on other people to get us information. There's now a big push to train the analysts, train the people that are already now to do that manipulation. Some of the things that I'm asked to do now is to teach my peers how to do advanced analytics. We're using a product called Dremio. Dremio is a query accelerator. We're dealing with very large data sets, and we're using this tool to speed up our analytics. I'm teaching others how to do Python. In Charlotte, I've also led the Power BI users group and the Tableau users group. Those are just user. I'm not sure where you're at, but I'm sure there's user groups somewhere around you that I would highly recommend that you join. Not only do you see the latest tools that other people are using, how they're using it, but it's a great networking opportunity for you.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, I actually, it's funny you mentioned data camp because I did like recently like find it, and like I'm trying to, I guess, do the associate data analyst track in SQL. And it's already helped me at my internship already, because true, I'm not doing like the ETL process, but I am like analyzing data with SQL. So it's definitely been helpful, but it's good to know that they have stuff on like manipulating data. It's pretty encouraging. But yeah, thank you, Rose.
Yeah, and I see the question here. The link that I provided is a huge list of almost all of the skills that I would recommend you learn, but you have to start with SQL. That's like the number one thing, or starting with a simple thing like Excel and doing the pivot tables. That's where you're going to start. One of the questions here is what kind of engineers get into this field? I'm going to say anybody. You don't have to be an engineer. I was not an engineer. I was a marketing guy. And my career has been in marketing, where I'm, again, manipulating data to identify the people we're going to market to. It is such a broad field. Like you have manufacturing, you have banking, you have retail, you have medicine, bioinformatics. Data analytics, it crosses all business spectrums. I've only worked in banking, but I can't imagine any business running without data analytics, ETL, extract, transform, and load, and visualization. Whether it's Power BI. Now, I don't know if you've learned a tool for visualization. Power BI or Tableau are two wonderful tools that I would strongly recommend that you learn.
Israel and Alex, there's another question from Nicole in the chat.
Yeah. So yeah, there's one before on the role of AI. Is that okay if I answer that one, Anna?
Sure.
It says, what will be the role of AI in the near future compared to our current multiple systems that we have? Again, my personal perspective is that AI will transform the way we do our jobs. I think for the most part, going back to the tool that I use, Excel, right now you do have to have certain skill set to be able to transform sets of data into visualizations or insights. I see the future. I mean, you guys have heard about Copilot and Microsoft, which is part of OpenAI. I do see a future where somebody with not a lot of Excel experience will be able to say, hey, I have this set of data. please help me clean up the data. So as opposed to spending, many times I have to spend hours cleaning the data, I think AI will do that. I think AI will clean the data. I think AI will automate the tasks that are repetitive. I think you will be able to give instructions, and then the spreadsheet or whatever system, or even Power BI in the future, you'll be able to say, I need a visualization that tracks warranty claims on a daily basis. And I think AI is going to be doing that. I think AI has the ability of processing. I was going back my example of warranty claims, right? If I have a warranty claims that says hose right side, and then the other claim says right side hose, right now in a data set, that data is going to show us a different thing. I think AI will be able to, I think AI is doing it right now. So I think we're seeing a massive transformation of all sorts of aspects with AI, but I do think that data and analytics is going to be one that will be continued to be impacted by AI. So I just strongly encourage everybody to do it. And then the resources for someone that is new to data analytics, and then the skill sets that we're usually looking for companies when we're hiring. I would say I think Israel covered it very well. It all depends on what you want to do, right? What part of, I'll give you the example of my daughter's boyfriend. He's a business major, and he's got a minor in data analytics, and he got a job at an insurance company being like a business process integrator, right? So with a data analytics degree, he's doing a business process integrator, which basically talks to the business, asks the business what they want, and they are able to translate it in a language for IT, and then IT does the coding. In our case, most of our analytics group, I would say they are self-taught, and then you can go in Coursera. Most of their skill sets, like I said, it's self-taught. Coursera, YouTube, and so on and so forth. And as far as skill set, I think it all depends what you want to do. Do you want to be the person creating the visualization? Do you want to be the person getting the insights and translating that information into insight? I think it all depends, because data analytics is too broad and there's room for everybody. But yeah, those are the main ideas as far as skill sets that we're looking for. And we're always looking for great people to work at John Deere, and there's jobs for everybody else. You can be a data catalyst, you can be a data analyst, you can be a product owner. I mean, there's all sorts of careers that we have in this field.
I want to expand on what Alex was mentioning, the product called Copilot. We do a lot of report development on the Microsoft Azure platform. And Copilot is artificial intelligence built into that platform. So as we post our data, Copilot is helping us build those analytic dashboards to get insights from the data. So in any of the reporting that we're doing in the banks, and I don't think Wells Fargo is unique. I think something that's happening across all the banks is integrating AI into it right now. We have entire departments that strictly do data analytics, machine learning, as I was saying, the text analytics. My recommendation to everyone on the phone right now is go install ChatGPT. I was having a conversation with my parents. They're like, okay, artificial intelligence is going to replace everyone. It's going to take everyone's job away. And I was like, no, it's not. It's not going to replace everybody's job. I said, I use it because I go and I have a question about programming, and I go ask ChatGPT, how do I do this? Oh, boom, here's my answer. So I can do my job 10 times faster. And my dad's response was like, oh, so you can now do the coding work that it could take 6 or 10 people do. Yes, you're right. Okay, AI is going to take away jobs for those that don't choose to learn AI. Please install ChatGPT on your phone so that you always have access and you know how to ask the correct questions to get the answers that you're looking for. There is an explosion of a skill set called prompt engineers. Prompt engineers are people who specialize and learn how to ask the appropriate questions of AI. So if you are just starting in your career, you have to learn AI because it will change our world. It'll change every aspect, every industry. Anyone that works on data, you need to know AI.
Thank you for that. Although I have to say, I do use ChatGPT, and the other day it was not available. There was a high demand on the servers, but
You gotta pay for it, Anna. If you got, I got early enough on ChatGPT, and I'm paying $20 per month, and it's the best $20
sure.
that I paid in my career. Even I'll give you, I mean, it's not data analytics, but you know, ChatGPT, for those of us that English is not our native language, and you know, you want to write a letter or you want to write a business proposal, you know, and then you just give the prompt like Israel was saying, you know, I mean, I have my personal assistants configured of Factory Insights. I got a personal assistant for my board meetings for the Fountain of Youth. I got a personal assistant for the board of Crow Valley, and you start configuring and feeding information to it, and I think that's how Israel is just saying. It's just I'm way more efficient. You know,
Yeah.
people would say like, "How did you do that document?" And I'm like, actually, it didn't take me more than 20 minutes. You know, so I think that the concern of AI taking over the world and Skynet. I mean, maybe you guys don't know the reference to Skynet because it's an old movie. It's not going to happen. It's just like our phones, right? I mean, our phones make us a lot more efficient, and that's what AI is going to do, is just making us more efficient. And that goes back to my recommendation, right? Is learn how to use the tools that help you be more efficient. There you go. Yeah, that's the Terminator. Isaac knows the the answer to that. Learn the use that will teach you how to be more efficient, and again, but there's passion for everybody. If you want to be the expert on a given tool, go ahead, but learning how to do your job more efficient, it's a big skill set.
So I want to share with you that without a doubt, my weakest skill is the English language. I came to the US as an infant. I remember learning English watching the Flintstones. And my wife says that I've never fully learned English. So what I do, Office 360, online, word.office360.com. I write all of my documents online because integrated with Office 360 is Copilot. It analyzes your text. It gives you a clarity score. So if I'm not in 90 or 100% score, and it highlights all the sections, use past tense or didn't do some plural, it highlights everything. It says you need to, or you know, you mouse over it, it tells you what was wrong with it, and you can fix it. I highly recommend using I think it's called Copilot as well in Word. I use that every day. My weakest skill is the English language, and I need that to make sure that all my communications are clear and concise. It's a wonderful tool.
Please continue to ask your questions. Make this very engaging. This is awesome. So don't be shy.
You know, one of the questions you have for us was, do I need special certifications to be a data analyst? I can tell you don't need them. It will help you get your foot in the door. Get certified in SQL for sure. Get certified in Python. Now, for Wells Fargo, for any large organization, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, everything had to happen in-house because you're dealing with people's finances. So security was very, very important. The world has changed. Today, our world in data is migrating to the cloud. If you want to have a long-term career in data analytics, get certified for Google Cloud Platform, certified for Microsoft Azure Platform, or the Amazon Web Services. Those are 3 platforms. The bank uses Google Cloud Platform and the Azure Platform. If you have those certifications, they want you today. So you can get an analytics without having certifications, but it's far easier that says, hey, I have a certification. This is proof that I know how to do whatever skill, whether it's SQL or Python or Google Cloud. Get those certifications. There's a ton of the link that I provided already gives you a ton of things that you can learn. And I'm sure there's certifications for dozens and dozens of those skills.
Keep those questions coming. Anybody else, please?
I guess another one for me, like, and piggybacking off of like certifications, I guess to say you were to have like a new hire or an entry level person on your team, you know, in addition to any like technical skills, I guess what kind of like soft skills or just general skills would you look for? Would you appreciate in like a new coworker?
Alex, do you hire people?
I do hire people. I don't hire like the technical on that. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the softer skills that I look into people, but also related from a data and analytics perspective, right? So you know, the people that we have working on analytics full time, they have to be somebody that knows about the business, right? So my ideal candidate of the people that we have is somebody that knows either how to be a manufacturing engineer, a design engineer, and something like that. So they have some knowledge of the process and how I would say real life works. There has to be somebody that knows how to collaborate, somebody that can sit down and understand, okay, what are you looking for when you're looking at this data set? What are the things that you're looking for? So somebody that can collaborate, and I would say problem solving. You know, one of the biggest skills that I think anybody can have is having the ability to determine, and it's kind of a Six Sigma concept, is when you have a problem, how are you going to measure uh, that problem? You know, how are you going to measure when you start moving all your variables, whether that problem is getting better or worse, right? So from a data and analytics perspective, I face that all the time. Is like, hey, we got this problem. Okay, how are we going to use the data that we have to create a metric, a KPI that will show me if we are solving the problem or we're getting better and better and better every day? So somebody that has that problem solving ability to be able to translate that data, that complex sets of data, into a single metric that management that can use to actually make some decisions.
I want to expand on that. I currently have 2 boys in college. And I'm going to be really blunt. Young people do not have social skills. My kids are the first ones that say none of their peers can talk to people. Because of how technology has affected your lives, everyone texts. You don't make eye contact. The soft skills that Alex was pointing out are essential in data analytics. We just covered all the technical skills that you need. I actually say that the soft skills are even more important. For instance, my job I don't go in and immediately start writing code. I have to talk to my customers. I have to understand their problem. I need to empathize with any issues that they have and empathize that they know their data. I might not, I know technology, and we have to work together to come up with a good solution that will work for them. Empathy, hearing, engaging, those are the skills that the young generation need to develop. And unfortunately, they're not there. For example, Wells Fargo has the early careers program going on right now. I was talking to some of our interns for the summer. Wells Fargo accepted 70 1,000 applications for the early career program. They accepted only 1,200 people into the program. And they had a really nice trip. They sent all these young adults to Disney World, to the Dolphin Resort for a week to get training. And that was wonderful. I never got that. But anyway, so now they're in the office. We have our building is crawling with young data analysts. And I asked one of the young girls, what was the skill that separated you from these 70,000 other people? And you know what she said to me? It was the interview. Her interview in her interview, she distinguished herself from everybody else because everyone is coming in this with the same skills. Everyone's got the IT, the ETL, and the SQL skills, but not all of them have the ability to communicate, to make a connection with the person you're talking to. Please make eye contact because the younger generations never look at anybody. Don't put on your headphones and disappear. Go and talk to the people around you. Engage your peers. Listen, develop empathy, and that will get you far because people will come to you. They know that you'll listen and that you can provide a solution to whatever issues that they're having.
Awesome. We are 4 minutes to the end. Any last questions? Now's your opportunity.
I have one. For Israel, you were just talking about empathy. Does that help with understanding why the data is what it is? Like, given that data is just the quantification of someone's decision, does that help with that? Like, you get a chance to understand what that person was going through when they made that decision to make a loan or things like that.
I think the empathy comes in before you touch the data.
Understood.
You have the empathy comes in making the connection to your clients. I mean, my clients are all internal Wells Fargo people. And unless my internal client feels a connection with me, that they can trust me and that I hear them, I mean, truly hear them and understand them. Because the reality is a lot of technical people, they have terrible social skills. My wife actually works for the cybersecurity area at Wells Fargo, and none of her IT people have any social skills. They put on their headphones and their heads down. Ugh. You're not going to move from data analytics into management and senior management if you have that desire without people skills. You have to be able to empathize, communicate, connect, to talk to senior leadership. They want to make sure that you're listening to them. Because if senior leaders are, you might have all the technical skill set, but unless you're connecting and you're hearing clearly, empathizing, you're not going to get far in the career.
Well, thank you for those words.
Thank you.
2 minutes to end. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Israel. Thank you, Alex, for being here representing your companies. Great talk, great information, and I hope you can talk to us again in the future. Again, thank you, everyone. And Alvin, you have a question. Sophia, you have a question. Let's be quick. Go ahead, Alvin.
I asked mine, Dr. Rodriguez. Good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Sophia, you have
both.
a question. Go ahead, Sophia.
I was trying to clap, not raising a question. Sorry about that. Congratulations to the speakers.
Thank you so much, everyone. So thank you for being here. Thank you for staying till the end, and keep an eye for those communication from SHIP for future Latinx Factor in July. Thank you
Best
all.
of luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thanks, Israel. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Alexa, thanks, Israel. I appreciate it.